Have you ever felt like the most boring person in the room at a networking event, then had just an amazing one-on-one coffee meeting with someone from that same event the next morning? You're not alone, and there's actually a reason for it. This video is about finding your social power zones, the settings where you naturally shine when connecting with others. And here's the key: it's not everywhere. So I'm Zvi, and after building now multiple CRMs, coaching thousands of professionals on relationship building in their own authentic way, and writing a book on the topic, I've discovered something pretty critical. Your environment matters as much as your social skills. Today, I'll show you how to identify your social power zones. And I know that's really cheesy. If we come up with something better, I promise I'll get back to you and update this video. But let's call social power zones for now and use them to strategically build deeper relationships. Early in my career, I thought networking meant showing up to crowded tweet-ups. Yes, that's what we called networking events when Twitter was new enough that meeting local Twitter users seemed like a good idea. Wild times. I would drag myself across town to these events, hover awkwardly at the edge of conversations, and leave feeling like not just a complete failure at this whole networking thing, but honestly as a human being in general. Meanwhile, if I met someone one-on-one for coffee, and I have opinions about coffee meetings separately, but we'll talk about that another time, we would have this just amazing connection one-on-one. Deep conversation, real rapport, plans to collaborate and stay in touch. If I would see them at an event later on, I knew I was meeting a friend, not a networking contact. What I didn't realize then was that I wasn't bad at building relationships. I was really just in the wrong social setting for my personality. I bet as I'm speaking, you're already coming across times where you've experienced something similar. So let's break this down. Each of us has social settings where we naturally thrive and others where we're about as exciting as a houseplant that needs watering. I mean, you can just think about the different spectrum of social situations. There are one-on-one casual coffee meetings. There are small group lunches. There's walking meetings. There's the conference hotel lobby. There's the large networking events at a bar. There are seated dinners with 6 to 8 or more people. Then, if you remember back to COVID times, there are those dreaded virtual happy hours. The conventional wisdom says that good networker should thrive in all of these settings, that throw them into any kind of situation, whether it's one-on-one coffee meeting or being airdropped into a crowded bar, or all of a sudden they're on a desert island and they have to network their way off the island, that they could thrive in all of those settings. That's complete nonsense. Even after years of coaching others on relationship building and building up my own confidence and expertise, there are still settings where I still feel completely out of my element. And I still sometimes catch myself wondering, like, why am I not talking? Why am I not saying anything? Why am I standing here like a statue? The biggest blocker for most people is trying to force themselves to be someone they're not in social settings that just don't match their personality, right? And frankly, drain them. If, let's say, you're a naturally thoughtful person and prefer deeper conversations, well, honestly, a loud networking happy hour might leave you feeling inadequate. When the problem isn't you, it's just the mismatch between your style and that setting. Whereas if you're the person that just thrives being able to jump around from person to person and always flowing between different conversations, if you're sitting down one-on-one with someone for 30 minutes, you might be feeling like a caged animal going like, oh my God, what do I need to do to get out of here? I totally get it. So what do you do with this insight? Well, I think there are 4 things. So first is to identify your power zones. I want you to think back to the last maybe 5 or 10 interactions you had and think, where were they? Where do you have the most energy? Where do you have the least energy? Then you can understand, well, where do you naturally feel energized and engaging? For me, it's one-on-one meetings and small group guided conversations. Maybe for you, it's a walking meeting. For others, it might be the golf course. Take a minute and write down your top 2 social settings. Second, increase your time in your power zones. Now, this sounds obvious, but almost nobody does it. If one-on-ones work for you, great, schedule more of them. If you're at a conference with a big mixer event that makes you want to hide in your hotel room, well, honestly, just invite a few interesting people to break away for a small dinner afterwards. Third, you can modify challenging settings to work better for you. I'm actually terrible at traditional large table dinners. Awkward small talk with a person next to me and diagonal to me, and oh, that person over there is having an interesting conversation and I'm stuck over here. That kills me. So when I host dinners, I choose to facilitate them as Jeffersonian dinners. One table conversation and thought-provoking questions. And by the way, when you're hosting, you get to set the rules. Just a little hint there. Fourth, use a bridge strategy. Now, if you know you're attending something that's not your power zone, like let's say that big conference mixer, well, then just make it your goal to simply identify 2 to 3 people you'd like to meet in your power zone later on. Your script could be as simple as, hey, this is a bit chaotic. Would you be up for grabbing coffee tomorrow morning to continue our conversation? Understanding your social power zones isn't about avoiding situations. It's more about being strategic with your relationship building energy. The most connected people I know aren't those who can just work any room. They're the ones who know exactly which rooms they should be working. So your immediate next step here, I invite you to identify the 2 social settings where you most naturally connect with others. You can do this by just looking back and just reflecting on whether it's the last few social situations you found yourself in and what you loved or what you hated, or think back to some of your favorite conversations or favorite relationships and ask yourself, well, where and how did I meet that person? And schedule one such event like that this week. Then pay attention to how much more authentic and energized you feel. Now remember, networking, or at least the networking that I talk about, the more authentic and personal relationship building, isn't about collecting the most business cards, burning your way through a room to meet everyone and shake every hand. It's about forming real long-term connections. And those happen most naturally when you're in settings that let your true personality shine.